Hi, thank you. Okay, hi everybody. I have a tough act to follow now, two good speakers with a couple of the things I had to say. The dating metaphor, I always use that. I work with millennials, I work with divorced people, so it's always useful. So why not? Everybody can benefit from that and understand it. So, okay, I'm going to start about me very briefly. I have an accent, so you can tell I'm from Argentina. So I've been working around the globe in startups and corporate environments. I started in product, actually, and my career through Oracle and startup in Silicon Valley took me to Europe and sales. I decided that sales is great. You make money, you have fun. I'm not the best developer, so I just followed the easy success, if you can call it that way. So today I'm going to talk about a tool that is actually very close to my heart in terms of effectiveness and making things simple in small companies and big companies. And it's called the business case or return investment tool. And basically it's about, so we all know about sales and how complicated and difficult it can be, not to be negative. And it can be challenging to sell enterprise software, SaaS software, especially if you're going after big buyers, big corporate buyers. There's delays, there's not very difficult to articulate compelling events, approvals get complicated, budgets are unclear, etc., etc. We all know that. All right, so what can you do? What's the one tool that you can actually apply, put in your kit, and also empower your sales team? Sometimes you've got a young sales force, people that are actually not very experienced. Again, if you work in early stage companies, there's not perhaps the most budget to hire the top experienced salespeople. So what can you do and offer something to pretty much everybody that they can have that sales confidence when they go to talk to their prospect? So my experience, there's 3 tips around this sales tool that I want to highlight, and I'll give you an example of how we're using it today in the startup that I work for, where we're trying to sell, or we're selling mental health digital solutions. Quite a big challenge. Anyway, even though mental health as a topic is now the top of the agenda, especially in the UK. So number 1, start really early. So basically what I recommend is start really early, in pretty much after you qualify that there's an opportunity here, perhaps there's budget, perhaps there's you identify the key stakeholders, you identify the need, and more or less the timing. This is I use the old band from IBM, but it's an updated version. You can use many methodologies, Challenger, this and that. It doesn't really matter. There's lots of methodologies about applying those best practices to your style and to your team and to your business. But in essence, once you qualified, in the pretty much second meeting, you go straight in and talk about the business case. And I think it's incredibly important. And I've been in many, many environments, many companies that they don't talk about any of that. And at the end of the day, when you're then sitting there with a head of global procurement and there's discussions about pricing, you can be there for a really long time, and that's what you don't want to be there. You want to set up upfront, very early in the cycle, how much this is going to cost, and the only discussion is about let's justify the value, and that's it, and it works. So when you do that, you have to obviously, apart from starting early, you need to have a framework that works with them. So tying into Florian's pitch of partnering, obviously you're now working with an end customer, assuming you're doing direct sales. So, and that's what I'm suggesting at this stage. So basically, you actually have the prospect work with you, along you. And so it's a great framework to open up transparently and say, okay, so what are the key issues for you? What's costing you not investing in this solution today? Every month that passes, you're wasting money. Every month that passes, you're not generating growth. Whatever it is that your organization is going to deliver in terms of value for them. So it's connecting their KPIs, their very key priorities that are happening day after day across the organization, depending who are the key stakeholders. And then you link to that. And finally, you need some evidence. You need some evidence to actually predict what's going to be that value for them. So if you are an established company, I worked at Oracle for 11 years, that was easy, red carpet. I was taking phone calls, okay, come in, sell us. It wasn't that easy to go from the transition from on-premise to SaaS. That was great in terms of an opportunity to learn and drive that. And those tools were incredibly valuable. When you're sitting there with the largest CPG companies and negotiating, it's all about the value, articulating the value, why you're going to bring a SaaS-based solution in a totally different way that you've been running before. And second experience was actually at exactly one of your sponsors, and that's a mid-sized company. That was an amazing opportunity. You know, it's about sales compensation, so it's fantastic to sell people or to sales leaders, and actually it's all about driving that value. So they got the ROI like that. Lastly, at Soma. So I'll explain to you what we do and how we apply this, because I think it's a good example to see how early stage. So what's the problem, and why do people need to invest in the mental health, mental well-being of their employees? At a minimum, the basic is that there's a cost. People are off sick and they don't show up for work. That costs money. And the cost of absenteeism to the UK economy today is over £33 billion. It's a lot of money. That is made up of three components. There's presenteeism, means people are at work but they don't really deliver. Absenteeism, and then turnover. I'm sure you understand that. There's a lot of evidence, a lot of data out there, different institutes, different statistics, different research. So we pulled it all together and said, this is what's costing the UK economy, and then let's come up with what's costing you today. Plug it into the model in literally 3 times the time that I have left, 6 minutes. You can actually come up with their cost. And it's almost like too overwhelming, like, oh my God, this is what's costing me. Now, if you don't have the data, it's incredibly fascinating to see how many people don't even know how many absenteeism days they have a year. I'm talking, FTSE 100 companies, I'm talking Global 1000 technology vendors, but I'm not going to give names. That's why they need a bit more accountability. And so we do that for them. They see the cost. Finally, the evidence. We have to predict what is it that's in it for them. So in our case, I'm not selling Soma, but I'm a salesperson, so I might as well say it. We predicted that we can save 20% of those costs over a period of 6 to 12 months. How do you do it? If you're a startup, you don't have data. You have to start somewhere. So run projects, run pilots, find those early stage, early adopters that you can partner with, test and trial this ROI model, do a project, and you start collecting all that data. If you have tech underneath, analytics, all that, to collect that data, fantastic, we do. That's part of the value proposition. But it's incredibly important, the same was happening at Oracle. It's incredibly important that you show that. So if you don't have the complete evidence, you can say, we predict that based on the product we deliver, and use some references. And then over time, make sure that you come back on a regular basis, maybe quarterly, maybe monthly, maybe yearly, depending on your solution, depending on how you see the value. But you need to measure the before, the during, and the after. Have all of that documented for your future sales, and also for them to realize, actually, this is really delivering the value. And you're helping them identify, and you're helping them get that benefit. And then, of course, the renewals are just going to be there automatically. So anyway, that's my pitch. Thank you very much.